When you think of medical tourism, what countries come to mind? Probably Mexico, probably Colombia, probably Turkey. But I can tell you what does not come to mind: Vietnam. Hi, this is Anita, aka Global Granny. I am a female solo retired traveler who spent this past winter in Vietnam. I experienced what some people might think would be their worst nightmare. I had emergency surgery in Vietnam. Let's talk about it. Somewhere between my trip from Japan back to Da Nang, Vietnam, I developed a hernia. It wasn't the painful kind that people talk about, that they had this pain. It was one day, checked my stomach, and probably in the shower, knowing me, because I don't just check my stomach to be checking my stomach. I felt a little lump, and I was like, And if I pressed it, it was a little sore. So I thought, okay, what is this? What do I do? Read a little bit about what a hernia feels like, looks like. I've never had one before. I asked around to local people that I knew what hospital should I go to. Vietnam has an international hospital. I wound up going to the international hospital on a Friday and told the doctor, I think I might have a hernia. I'm not sure. The first thing they do is to take you back for I think it was like an ultrasound kind of thing that they did. And sure enough, they ran across what they called the mass initially. And he said, we'd like to do a CT scan to see a little closer. They did the CT scan, and about 20, 30 minutes later, we got the results, and yes, it confirmed that I had a hernia. Not just one, two. The one that was larger, because it was larger, more than 2 centimeters, they actually had to do the surgery, the one they cut you open and put a mesh in. And that's when they put it back in. So I couldn't get laparoscopy because it was too big. The second one was smaller, but since I had two, that was the route that they chose. So they asked me, did I want to have surgery? No, they recommended I have surgery the next day. That was Saturday morning. So all day Friday, for the rest of the day, they did exams. Heart, x-ray, you name it, blood work, all day. For the rest of the day, for a couple of hours, they actually did all the tests that would tell them that I am quote unquote healthy enough to have this surgery. The surgery was me staying in the hospital for 2 days, and they explained the procedure to me. I was okay with it. It cost $5,000, put it on my credit card, and proceeded to come back the next day for surgery. There were 2 other patients before me, so it was a bit of a wait before I was cued in to have surgery. A friend of mine was with me. They were so kind, they actually brought her food. I couldn't eat before surgery, of course, but they brought her a nice meal. I was in a private room. The surgery went, of course, without a hitch. Here I am. And they were, I think, one doctor, and he was the cardiologist that actually didn't speak enough English, had a translator. But most of the doctors speak pretty broken English, like I spoke 0 Vietnamese. I have 3 or 4 words. None of them have anything to do with pain. But they were very kind, very gracious, and took their time explaining all the procedures and what I would expect. All of their equipment was state-of-the-art, from where you get your x-ray to where they check your heart, all state-of-the-art equipment. And the surgical wing explained everything to you before they did it. It was pretty nice. I had pain meds afterwards. Couldn't complain because I was in no pain. They understood my dietary restrictions, so I had a vegan meal for 2 days. When it was time for them to release me from the hospital, they gave me pain meds that I had to get a prescription for, and they only give you like a week's worth. So you don't get a whole bottle of pills, you get a week's worth of antibiotics and pain meds. And you get gauze, for my wound because it needed to be cleaned. They actually cleaned my wound. The nurse told me to come back in and had me bring my gauze in, and she cleaned my wound for 2 days of the first week and 2 days of the second week. What was kind of nice is she actually had me come in on a day that I knew was a holiday, so I was a little bit concerned when I got there and nobody else was there except for the receptionist and skeleton crew, you can tell, was there because there were patients in this hospital. And she said, no, I'm fine with being here, and cleaned my wound that day. And I took a Grab, which is their version of Uber, back to my hotel. I finally, after 2 weeks, saw the doctor, and he released me to go back to fly because I had to go back to the U.S. And that was May 7th when I came back to the U.S. It was a challenge, but I did get wheelchair assist from the Singapore airport. That was pretty amazing. People were so gracious. They were so nice. And Singapore airport is huge. I don't know if you've ever been, but it is a giant airport. You come in from Vietnam to there. So I came in international, but my flight was leaving out of a different terminal. So that was a challenge. I had to take a bus. The porter was so nice that had my wheelchair. He told the driver of the bus, because I had some luggage that I had on wheels, to help me with my luggage off the bus because I couldn't pick up anything. And he agreed. So when it was time for me to get off, just at the next stop, he got off the bus, and picked my luggage up and rolled it into the terminal so I can just take it over and go into the terminal. I could walk, so that wasn't the issue, but I wasn't supposed to pick up anything more than about five pounds at the most. People were really, really nice when they found out that I needed some assistance. They never asked me what was wrong. They just asked me, can you walk down the gangway by yourself? And I was able to do that. If you ever find yourself in a situation like I did, and you need to have emergency surgery, yes, by all means, do ask around about an international hospital. It seems that most of these countries do have international hospitals, highly trained doctors, and procedures like this that they do on a regular basis. 2 days in the hospital, $5,000 later, I was fine. When I got to Dallas-Fort Worth area and went to urgent care to get my stitches removed, that doctor saw me for about 10 seconds before he said, oh yeah, okay, you're healed, you can have your stitches removed now. So a nurse comes in, removes my stitches, and tells me, oh my gosh, somebody did a really great job of these stitches. And I said, yeah, I had emergency surgery in Vietnam. So she was shocked. But I had to make the decision. Was I gonna take a chance on a 24-hour flight with X amount of hour layover and risk it bursting while I was on a plane with pressure? I didn't know, but I didn't want to take that chance. The chance I did take was international hospital in Vietnam, of all places. I will say, just like their customer service everywhere else that I've been in Vietnam, their care for you is top notch. They have a nice little app that has all my procedures on it. Not only did they give me a copy of all the procedures that I have with the prices, they also gave me a breakdown on the application itself of everything I had while I was there. So seamless, yeah. Scary, oh yeah, it was scary. I'm not gonna act like it wasn't scary, but great care. So if anything like that ever happens, I don't know. Would you do that? Would you have surgery in another country, or would you have them fly you back home to wherever home is for you? I chose to trust the process in another country that some people would even call third world, but based on the equipment and the staff in the hospital and the cleanliness of the hospital, I would never call them third world. So I'm here to share my experiences with you, and hope to see you in the next video. So if you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.